We begin ex Deus Machina with a jaffa fleeing through the darkness, which isn't unexpected since these guys live kind of a violent life as normal, not even counting a holy man showing up saying, "Convert or I'll turn your planet into a black hole." Except in this case, his story ends when he's hit by a pickup truck, which is pretty rare for them. I'd go so far as to say he's probably the first to perish for not using the crosswalk. After the titles, we find out the guys in the truck took off and left him, so either they killed him on purpose, or they took one look at this spaceman and said, I don't need this, and got out of there. The symbol says that he used to work for Lord Yu, which means he probably now works for Garrick. Teal'c is going to look into that with Mitchell as his backup, while Daniel and Carter will look into this Virginia thing. Daniel's already found something interesting. The dead guy was found not far from where a facility that produced war materials for the DoD recently shut down. One of their executives, Alex Jameson, went missing yesterday, which is a funny coincidence, isn't it? And funny coincidences fall within our remit at Stargate, running the full gamut from funny peculiar to funny ha-ha. Garrick is speaking to the council against the Tok'ra, that they fear the power of the Jaffa, while another of them counters that the Tok'ra fought the Gould for far longer.
Let us all be clear. The only motivation that the Tok'ra have is their own selfish needs, not to help any of us.
See, Garrick is worried about funny underhanded. They're up to something funny. Teal'c comes in and handles this with real skill, and then Mitchell opens his mouth. He's not supposed to talk, and definitely not with his characteristic style. Poor Teal'c. Mitchell really stole his mojo just now. When they adjourn, Garrick compounds it by referring to Earth as Teal'c's Tauri home, implying that he's become an outsider to his people. He also says he doesn't recognize the dead guy, but it's just possible that he might be lying. Meanwhile, Daniel's talking with Jameson's wife, who said a few months ago he started acting differently. She assumed it was just work at first, but eventually she wondered if it was an affair, so she had a PI follow him. The PI came back, returned all the money, and said to drop it, but she still has the photos that prove he was up to something. Well, we know who has him. Garrick. And there's a reason. Yep, Nerus isn't the only Gould still running around. At the company, Carter meets Charlotte, one of the VPs, who says that the plant was shut down 6 months ago, even though the evidence and the eyewitness testimony say that it was in use until very recently. And she's unwilling to say anything about Jameson and his disappearance. As a member of the Air Force, Carter has no authority to compel cooperation.
These gentlemen will show you out.
Well, that'll put her off the scent, Charlotte. Nothing like multiple security to suggest you have nothing to hide and are insistent on protecting that nothing. Well, what she's protecting is the presence of Baal. Knocked from on high, but still playing the game. He's the last system lord standing. As for Daniel, he's found in the photographs real money big shots. A conspiracy would suggest the Trust, the bad guy organization with the poorly realized committee and smoke and mirrors. Some of them vanished in a way suggesting ties to the defeat of Osiris, meaning they're probably still connected to the Gould from the infiltration that happened. So we've got a problem on home soil again. That's what Teal'c and Mitchell learned for sure from one of the members of the council, and that it's Baal, and that Garrick knows. That's why he sent that Jaffa there. There's just one problem. That contradicts with the intelligence they have that says Baal is elsewhere. And he can't be in two places at once. Trust me, I've tried. It didn't end well. The political situation is this. Capturing Baal would be a major victory for Garrick, and he would use that to unify his hold on the council, and through them, the Jaffa as a whole. And he's proven rather flaky as far as friendship goes, and that's before we include running around on our planet without permission. So SG-1 has to catch Baal before he does. Except, Garrick's people have tortured the information out of Jameson's Gould driver, so it looks bad for the good guys. And for this guy.
Where is the false god, Baal?
If someone said that to me, I'd presume they were asking about my boss holding some masked high society dance. Well, a firefight breaks out, trained Jaffa versus corporate security. Not sure who won, the bodies were gone. The only witness didn't see the outcome, and in either case, we know Baal got out. He sent a video message confirming that he is on Earth, but arguing that without ships and armies, he's no longer a threat to anybody, so he should be allowed to hang out on our couch. He's not a threat to anybody. Also, he's threatening us with a bomb. He's like, look, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, I'll even obey your laws, but I've hidden a Naquadah bomb somewhere in the U.S. Come after me, and, well, it's going to be pretty hard to cover up. We don't want our population knowing we've been fighting an intergalactic war either. The news actually said in the real world recently that supposedly documents related to aliens are going to be released. Personally, I'm not as relieved as you'd think, because I'm afraid all that means is that Chewbacca and Mr. Spock are mentioned in the Epstein files. Well, sorting this isn't going to be easy. It's entirely possible that the humans protecting him have no knowledge that their boss is an alien snake piloting someone around in snazzy clothes and holding masked balls. And remember that earlier point, they're the Air Force. If they go around gunning down American citizens on American soil, even if you square the moral question, that's still going to look bad. So they're going to use this anti-Gould stuff they got off the Toker. They can spray that, and the only ones who'll die are the parasites. That still leaves Garrick, though. He's probably got a mothership nearby that he's using as a base of operations. So Teal'c and Mitchell will take the Prometheus to go looking for it. Daniel and Carter get a ride with Agent Baird of the NID, who have a lead on Baal being at a hotel, so that's going to be their stop. On the Prometheus, there's no sign of the mothership, so Teal'c says to fly to the far side of the moon and look back there. That's a good place for hiding things. And sure enough, there's a Jaffa ship there, and they are not happy.
Withdraw, or we will be forced to defend ourselves.
That's the Jaffa version of shouting, "Stop resisting." Meanwhile, as Daniel's heading in to join the boots on the ground, Carter gets to stay in the truck with Barrett for uncomfortable conversation. She explains that she's been kind of busy, consoling Casey after Dr. Frazier's death, thwarting a plan to build a supergate from another galaxy, learning how to make sourdough. Well, word comes in to stand down, even as we see Baal getting into his limo, because at that exact same time, Baal is giving a live interview on television. He's got a big announcement to make, in fact.
This is Baal. I fight the Jaffa, but side with Sea Shepherd. Join my minions and me in the fight to keep Earth's oceans alive.
Well, naturally, Stargate Command's going to have to take him seriously. His public appearance means that taking him down isn't as simple anymore. While they ask the Pentagon what to do about the alien with a bomb giving a press conference, we check in behind the moon. Teal'c tries to convince the Jaffa that they should work together to bring Baal in, but no, he's not hearing it. So Teal'c takes Mitchell with him when he goes to speak with the council, thinking that he's got an ace to play, only to get an Uno reverse. Again, I don't know how that works. Still, you get the point. Instead of this being hidden from the council, it's being hidden from Teal'c. Not because he's disloyal, but because he would have a split allegiance to deal with. It's been hinted at in the show, jokes of how the writers often leave Teal'c with just standing there stoically or manfully being silent. But with the Jaffa Nation, he's getting a lot more space for expression. He takes the council to task for this dishonorable repayment of our help in their struggle. He says that they should respect Earth's authorities enough to cooperate with them, and that if they do so, that Baal will then be brought to the council to face justice. Mitchell asks WTF in the hallway because there is no guarantee that that's going to happen, but Teal'c said he just said that to rattle Garrick while they make their move. Well, we've tracked Baal to a compound. He didn't make any effort to hide his whereabouts. Mitchell's all for us using the spray to deal with him, even if there is a bomb. If he's acting this brazen because he thinks he's safe, he might start pushing his luck. Unfortunately, the trust network is still in place, which means that Charlotte learns about this, which means that Baal learns about this. Well, clearly something on Earth is going to get destroyed, and narrowing that down is going to be difficult. I think the only thing we can definitively rule out is clearly Earth's oceans. So Baal sends a video telling them that there is a bomb in Gilead. I mean, there's a bomb in Seattle. It's going to go off. He even says the specific building and when that's going to happen. What he's doing is trying to get them to call the attack off on him. The only problem is we don't trust him not to follow through on it as a sort of demonstration of don't ever do this to me again, finger wagging with a nuke. So Carter's going to join in the search for this bomb. Besides the obvious damage that such an explosion is going to have, besides the obvious loss of life, there's also the fact that you're not going to be able to explain why this happened. Why would someone nuke Seattle? Even the angriest Patriots fan is not going to be able to do that. The assumption is going to be by everyone that this was either terrorists or some foreign power. And that's just what we need to have right now in 2005 when we're in 2 wars already on this planet. That's not even accounting for the fact that we're at war with another galaxy. So yes, we have to track this bomb down.
Colonel Carter,
Have you located the bomb?
we're unable to get a fix on its location.
The guy in this little role actually went on to be one of the main cast members in James Spader's show The Blacklist, in case he looks familiar. Yeah, I realize how frustrating I must be to listen to. I say 2 things frequently. I don't watch anything, and, oh, I saw this person in something else I watched. Carter figures out what the weird readings mean. The building itself is the bomb. Its structure is laced with naquita. The explosion's going to chain reaction through the whole thing. While they're noodling that problem, the Jaffa attack Baal's headquarters. We don't let that stop us from hitting the place with the anti-Gould spray missile, though, leaving behind the fresh scent of pine. As for the bomb, there's no way we're going to find the triggering device in time, so Mitchell has them evacuate so Prometheus can beam the entire building into space. The plan works, and frankly, I think that was Baal's plan all along, was for it to work. Bear with me, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think that Seattle being nuked is the last thing Baal wants, and not just because he's a huge fan of Penny Arcade. Anyone who nukes an Earth city is going to be facing a united humanity singularly committed to destroying that threat. Baal knows this. You don't become the last system lord standing if you don't think things through. How does it look when Baal says, I'm going to set off the bomb at this time, at this exact place, in this exact building, and you can't stop me? Ha ha ha! It looks like we thwarted his plan. What does that mean? It means that Baal gets the chance to demonstrate the capacity and the will to nuke us without having to actually bear the consequences of nuking us. He leaves us with the impression that we outsmarted him this time, but next time he might be more crafty. That is the action of the last system lord standing. Someone who considers, how can my defeat further my agenda? Well, unfortunately, Baal escapes, and Teal'c appears in the council chamber, ready to denounce Garrick for allowing it to happen. Thanks to your self-serving, egomaniacal, narcissistic, undiplomatic, ill-conceived, haphazardly executed actions, we've lost Baal. This is really not Teal'c's week. Of course, Baal's probably had better ones too. Well, Teal'c returns only to find out that Baal's compound has all the stuff needed for cloning, meaning Garrick very likely executed a duplicate, not the original. Or even if it was the original, genetic memory and all that means the others are just as much him. In fact, there's a little team of them all chilling in Baal's man cave.
It's significantly less than
Over 600 channels and nothing to watch.
Well, excuse me, I'm sorry that the planet you're squatting on isn't up to your standards. The title is a play on Deus Ex Machina. It's a reference to a device in ancient Greek plays that would lower a box full of gods who would then sort out all the mortals' problems, hence the Latin term God from the machine. It's used for when you get this out-of-nowhere solution to the story's problem, and it's obviously well known in writer circles because it's usually something to avoid. The twist is that X is being used with its English meaning, so Ex Deus Machina is a former god's mechanism. Anyway, Ex Deus Machina is slightly important in that it establishes that Baal has been cloning himself, and I'm giving it a recommended. It's on the bubble, but I'm rounding up, primarily because it's got some good pacing and everyone gets a nice moment. Speaking of moments, there's a great one about halfway through when Mitchell hands out the SG-1 patches to each of the three, indicating the band's back together, officially. Well, you know what I mean. But overall, it's smart that they've decided to keep a major system lord around to shake up the dynamic. While the threat of the Ori is hanging over them, you can't have them show up too often without it diminishing their effectiveness as a threat. So you need additional threats throughout to simply allow the Sword of Damocles to provide menace, and Baal is a good choice for that. And by cloning him, you also allow for the reverse, where the bad guy is not always escaping. It's overall a good strategy for bringing new life to the show.
All